Hey, how y'all doing out there in YouTube land? This is Stiletto coming at you from the Wild Wild West. Well, today we just got a follow-up video on my new Artisan Blowback. The one that I got from White Mountain Knives that was a return. And it was a return by the previous customer because they said that they found some rust spots on the blade. And when I initially purchased it, you guys saw the video. I initially received it, should I say. I didn't really notice any. I didn't notice any rust spots on the blade at all during the video. But after the video and after using the knife a little bit, and I noticed a couple rust spots. But they're very, very faint surface rust spots. They were not pits or anything like that, or permanent stains or anything like that. And also I found out also that the stainless steel for the Blowback's blades, the Artisan Cutlery Blowback's blade, is a S35VN Damascus. S35VN Damascus. I previously thought it was a VG1 Damascus. But apparently on the Blowback model, if you go on the website in Artisan Cutlery, it says it's a S35VN Damascus. On the other ones, it doesn't say what kind of Damascus it is. So I would assume, since Knife Center said that the Artisan Cutlery mainly uses VG1 Damascus, that the other ones are VG1 Damascus, unless they're listed otherwise. But on the Blowback, it's the S35VN Damascus. And all I got to say is that I really loved polishing out the Blowback's blade. It came out beautiful. And the resharpening of it on the work sharp, on my work sharp, it hammered it. I mean, it gave it a perfect edge at about 23 degrees, and I did a polished edge on it. It's perfect, and it's razor sharp. But anyway, enough talking about it. Let's look at it. Here we go. Absolutely love it. I totally took it apart, this knife. And also strengthened up the spring a little bit too. The slide spring. So I adjusted the way it functions on it. I absolutely love this knife. I think this is going to become one of my favorites. Number one, I love axis locks. And y'all know that. Y'all know I love the axis lock. And the Artisan recoil lock is very similar to the axis lock, except it works off a spring, a coil spring that sits inside of here. And this slide, it just pushes back on the spring, and then when you release it, the spring pushes the slide back forward. I bet you that's pretty much how Andrew Demko's shark lock sort of works. I bet you that. I've never taken one apart or seen what they look like apart, but I bet you it has a spring back here, pretty much like this does. I believe this was out before Andrew Demko's knife, because I think these came out, what, 2018? I'm not sure. But I know these have been out for a while. I'm just now getting it. And I absolutely love this knife. It's become one of my favorites. Look at that blade. To me, it sort of looks like a Chinese war sword. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a Chinese war sword. The other type of blade sort of reminds me of like a scimitar. I know it's called a bowie or a clip, but it looks more like a scimitar, really like a Chinese war sword. And this is a Chinese knife, so I'm sure they had a lot of influence by their own, national weapons, historical weapons, like the Chinese war sword. And me, myself, I like it when countries do things that honor their own country and their own history and their own heritage. Here we go. Look at that. This is with the work sharp. This blade is razor. You know me, I love sharp knives. Look at that. Look at that. No hiccups anywhere in this blade. It's a perfect edge. S35VN Damascus, people. S35VN Damascus. Sharpened on the work sharp. 23 degrees. Look at that. And just using the work sharp stones that the work sharp comes with. No special stones. And then you look at the edge. And you know what? It wasn't hard to sharpen. It's easier than D2. Put it that way. You guys know I got a lot of D2 knives lately, and I have resharpened a couple of them and stuff like that. I never have liked resharpening D2. D2 will hold a good edge, and it performs well and stuff like that, but when you have to resharpen it, it kind of sucks. Absolutely love this one, people. And I don't know if you can see it, but I'm trying to show you if you can see the Damascus in it. I don't know if it's showing up. May not be showing up. The polish out to mirror reflection, and I only went up to 2500 grit sandpaper on this, wet sandpaper. I started at 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1500, 2000, and 2500 grit wet sandpaper. It took me a while, you know. It took me like about 3 hours or so I put into this blade. You know, and that's from the beginning to sharpening it. I mean, to beginning to sanding it, polishing it, and sharpening it is about 3 hours. Absolutely love it. It came out so beautiful. It came out absolutely beautiful. Well, the Artisan Cutlery Damascus polish is really nice, and like when you can hold it like this, I can see all the, you know, the Damascus lines in it. It's beautiful. I love this Damascus steel polished. It is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning to look at, and this blade was ground so well that there wasn't any valleys or, you know, like low spots in the steel when I was polishing it or sanding it. It was like perfect. I like the way that this one was put together so much that I went to Artisan Cutlery because I want a black one. I went to Artisan Cutlery, and the only place I was able to find a black one was at Artisan Cutlery. And they had them on sale for $208. Normally, the Artisan Cutlery sells them for $277. And for 6 days, they have them on sale. So if you want to get one, you can go get one. I'm gonna post this tonight. Today is the 2nd of November. Tuesday, the 2nd of November. Absolutely love this one, but I went and bought another one. I got a black one. And that one I'm just going to leave totally stock or whatever. And that's going to be the collector. This is going to be the user. This is going to be the one that you guys see in my box. But when the other one gets here, I'll show it to you too. So then you can see what the blade originally looked like, and you see what it looks like now. Absolutely love this one though. I think this is my favorite Artisan. This is the Blowback. And I have another favorite Artisan. In my next video, I'll show it to you. Well, maybe the video after that one, because I got another couple of knives I want to show you before I make that video. And I'll show it to you. But that it's a tough, you know, it's tough between these two. Between that one and this one, which one I like the best of all the Artisan knives. And as you guys know, I have tried just about every Artisan knife with a blade that's either almost 4 inches long or 4 inches long or a little bit over 4 inches long. I'm trying to stay around, like, let's say 3.75 to 4.25 in that range, you know, because I really like 4-inch blades, you know, for like EDC and stuff like that, to actually carry and stuff like that, because they're legal where I live. And so I can carry any 4-inch blade I want to legally where I live, out in public, you know, not inside government buildings or schools or whatever, but out in public on the streets, I can carry it on my pocket on my person. And so the 4-inch blades are pretty much my favorite. And I know you guys often see me get like as small as like a 2.75-inch blade with my microflip. But I have to really like the knife before I buy something that's that small. Where it has to look sort of interesting to me, where I just want to try it out or whatever. But usually most of the super small knives are the ones I actually carry and use. And so I don't really have a whole lot of those because I don't really buy them to collect. I buy them just because I like having a small knife that I can pull out in public. Lots of times I will usually carry like 2 knives. But one that I can pull out and one that's a self-defense tool. I always like to carry one that's not a self-defense tool. And often when I go to work, at work I only carry 1 knife. And the 1 knife I like to carry will be the one that will be like, I don't know, it could be 4 inches or smaller. Let me put it that way. And they're usually around like 3.5 inches, like the ones I actually carry to work all the time. Because I like a knife, the 3.5-inch blade gives me a little sense of security. And when the blade gets too small, I sort of lose that sense of security. Like the blade can actually defend me in a life-threatening situation. That's what I'm talking about. I know a small blade is very dangerous in a close quarter combat situation because you don't need a long blade to cut somebody if you're wrestling around with them. Actually, a shorter blade would be better than that if you're in a scuffle. And all you have to do is just know where the arteries are. Or where the tendons are. Whatever you feel like. If you want to wound somebody, you need to know where the tendons are. If you want to kill somebody or take somebody out because they're trying to take you out and it's you or them, then you need to know where the arteries are. That's the best thing. Or you can go straight to the heart. Okay, let's stop talking about that. But I absolutely love this knife. It polished out so well. And we still got the original markings on it. It didn't take too much to get it like this too. It didn't take a whole lot of effort or anything like that. This steel polishes the Artisan S35VN. This S35VN blade. S35VN Damascus steel polishes very nicely. It reminds me like when I was polishing, as you guys know, I polish a lot of my different blades or whatever. And to me, the hardest one to polish so far is the CTS XHP. That is hard to polish. And it takes a lot of effort. It took me about a week to do that Frenzy. Off and on when I had a little bit of time here and there, I do some sanding and stuff like that. But this wasn't too bad. This reminds, the only thing I can think of that's really easier than this one would be like Oz 8. Oz 8 polish is super easy and it's super easy to resharpen. And when I say resharpen, I'm talking about getting it to a razor's edge, not just work sharp, like a work edge, work edge that you could use for work that doesn't have to be super sharp. I'm talking about razor sharp. Oz 8 is the easiest steel to resharpen. If you like to resharpen your knives all the time and stuff like that, Oz 8's a great steel. You don't have to always use, get the fancy powdered steels or whatever. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of steels down there, and lots of them are, that are good in different areas, whereas others aren't good in those areas. I absolutely love the recoil lock. And this lock is different than the CGARB one, the recoil lock on the CGARB knives. Because that one uses a wolf spring. Very similar to the Axis lock that uses Omega spring. Only they use a wolf spring. And it pretty much actuates just like an Axis lock. It just looks different. Is that a good way to put it? And it operates a little bit differently too. But on these, it's a spring that rides back in here instead of riding inside the handle scales. It rides along the spine, right in here. And what you're doing is that you're sliding this back, and it releases the blade. because it has a crossbar that goes across right here, and it rides on the flat on the blade. And then when you release it, the spring compresses back in this area and it releases the blade. I like it. And you know what? This knife is easy to clean. I took it apart. The CJRB version of the recoil lock has a lot of little parts. And that's one reason why I didn't really use that one that much, because I took one apart and it was like, it had a whole lot of parts, and I didn't really like messing with it that much after I saw how many parts it had. Because I like things that you could take apart and put back together fairly easily. You know, sort of like when I was in the military, you know, we had M16s and Colt 45s and things like that, and M30s and 50 cals, and those were all easy to take apart and clean and put back together. That's the way I sort of like things. You know, when it comes to my weapons, things I would call a weapon. An edge tool, you know, can be a weapon. Firearms, a weapon. You know, basically anything could pretty much, any kind of tool could actually be a weapon. A hammer or a screwdriver. It's just the preferable ones are the knives and guns. Absolutely love this one. Absolutely love it. And the handle's it reminds me like a Andrew Dimko style handle. The shape of it. I'm not talking about the way it looks. I'm talking about the physical shape. It's sort of like a Recon 1. Matter of fact, let me just look at my cold steel drawer knives that I leave out all the time. And pull out my Recon 1. You see what I'm talking about. The shape of it. It's still got that, you know, that same type of grip. Sort of like a Recon 1. Absolutely love it. Totally digging it. Another comparison would be the SR1. You guys see what I'm talking about? The grip is very similar. It has the same type of feel. It's not exactly like a cold steel grip or an Andrew Dimko grip, but it's similar. It's got the similar shape, which is a common shape for a lot of knife makers. They're making utility folders that are sort of tactical also. Absolutely love it. And this is a titanium handle, titanium pocket clip. I haven't carried this one yet. Absolutely love it. And I think they call this one silver, because I know they have a blue and a green and black. I think those are the colors that you can, your choices. I think it's blue, green, silver, and black. I think those are the colors. It's a beautiful knife. Uh-oh, that was me. On this, when you flip it out, one thing I noticed, when you flip it out using a flipper, you have to lift your finger out, because if you leave your finger on, I didn't do it that time. Let me see if I can get it to fail. Because what you're doing is that you're holding a slide, and this part right here, it grips onto your finger, and so you end up holding the slide open. So you sort of. So to me, sort of the preferred way with this one is just using the pinchers. But it's really meant to be a flipper. But see, you gotta remember that I did it again. And see, when the flipper works better when it's going like from this angle. Because even if you're pinching it a little bit, it's okay. It's just when you're going from this angle, you gotta be aware of it. You gotta remember to lift your finger up. I love this action though. Rides on ceramic ball bearings, titanium handle scales, titanium slide, titanium pocket clip. recessed screws, flat screws everywhere. T6, T8, T8 on the pivot. This is a beautiful knife. S35VN Damascus. This one's polished. It's not the way that they come. This is a custom polish by me. Custom polishing and sharpening by me. Absolutely love this one. And there's no wobble or anything in this knife. It's awesome. When I first got it, there was a little bit of up and down. Just a little bit up and down. And the way I got rid of the up and down was that I put a little piece of spacer inside where the spring rides. So I actually put a little bit more tension on the spring, and that took it out because it put more pressure on the slide to push against the back of the blade, and that kept it from having that little bit of tick. So if any of you have that same issue, you might want to do that. And where I got the little piece of the spacer from, I took a pin, like a push button pin, regular old cheap push button pin. Took a knife and snipped off a little tiny bit of the cartridge, and use that little bit of hollow piece of plastic, and it fit right down in there where the spring goes perfectly, and just gave it a little bit of spacer. And after I did that, this blade was super tight all the time. Awesome. Polishing, just need a little tuning up. But there's no scratches or nothing on this handle. Got a really good deal on this one. I absolutely love it. I like the size and the weight of it too. But anyway, that's enough talking about this one. I've probably gone on way too far talking about this one knife that I really like. But anyway, peace out. Stiletto.